they would sit all over the newsroom and and bring their boxes of fried chicken in and sit up on the news desk, and you'd kind of have to ask them to, get out of the way. We had to do a newscast. So management made the decision to move wrestling out of there. And but it was it attracted an awful lot of attention, and an awful lot of fans would be lined up outside those doors on the night of the taping. They were fans of Ric Flair and all of those guys, and they really were pretty nice guys. I mean, they just didn't understand the workings of a news department and how they had to sort of stay out of the way while they were waiting to do their wrestling that night.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, management decided to move that out.
It was around, I think, 87 or 88 that the CBS early morning show with Harry Smith and the weather guy's name escapes me, but they did a special from the Botanical Gardens over at the studios. So what led the CBS morning show to come do their live morning show from Raleigh?
I don't know. I don't have the background on that, Jarrell. But, I was not privy to that decision. All I know is that they came, and they seemed to have a good time, and they seemed to appreciate the professionalism of our people. When I say our people, there are only a handful of us who ever appeared on the air on television. But behind the scenes, you have directors and audio people and engineers and art department people, and you just have this tremendous amount of support team, and people never see them. They're the unsung heroes of our industry. So when the network people came to Channel 5, they were always impressed. They were always impressed with our photographers, and impressed with our equipment, and impressed with our people. They always commented on that. So that CBS show had a good experience here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, who idea was it to come up with the Place to Be promo from '87 with Roberta Flack and I think Lee Greenwood?
I don't know. I remember those promos though, and a special song was written by, I think, Greenwood, and was done by Greenwood and Roberta. The news people are not in the promotion business. The promotion department is a whole different section of the station and of the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't have any background. I do know that we had fun with Roberta and with Lee, and we had a chance to have lunch with them and dinner with them, and as they were here providing the music and everything for the promos. I remember it all very well, but I don't have any background on how it came about. Right. Who decided what, and who chose the performers.
Mm-hmm. It was an interesting promo. You had yourself, Adele, Tom, Bill Leslie, and cameos by the Dean Smith, coach of Carolina basketball at the time, Coach K of Duke, and the late great Jimmy Valvano, NC State.
Yes. There again, though, if it's great to have all those people supporting us, and but we in the news department really didn't have anything to do with the formation of the promos and who would do what and so forth. All of that was decided by the management and the promotion department.
Okay, now let's talk about the transition from Bob DeBartoleben to Greg Fishel, and then the first time that Tom Suter came on board to REL.
It was very much feared that, Bob was so strong and had such a following that the transition, management was concerned about the transition and knew that it had to be done perfectly. And as it turned out, it was. First of all, Greg came and was he was seen as somebody who was helping Bob, and that went on for a time. And then Greg began to take a little bit larger role and stronger role, but never until Bob left was he seen as the main one, because it was Bob DeBartoleben. But the transition was done very well, because Fishel stepped right in and without missing a beat went right on and became the well-respected personality and and scientist that he is today. But it was of great concern, that transition. Now, you mentioned Tom Suter. Well, Tom came when he was real young. Now, Tom is still on the air, as you well know, and a good friend of mine, and I think a friend of yours. Tom was fine with a slow transition into sports, and he worked under Nick Pond for a while, and but that transition came on more slowly, mainly because Tom wanted it to be slow. I mean, he didn't want to be thrown in there too quickly, and so that was done well too. I mean, the management sort of knew how to do those things and made the right decisions.
Now, back in, I think, the 80s, I saw a piece on YouTube that somebody put about WRAL. Somebody was covering, like, a snowstorm was coming or whatnot, and it happened to be a pre-Sports Center, Stuart Scott. So tell me, what was it like having Stuart Scott around before he went on to go to ESPN?
Stuart is a wonderful young man. I mean, he is just full of himself and full of life, and provided a lot of energy in that newsroom, and we all just loved him. But Stuart was always more interested in sports than he was in covering news stories. When I was producing the 11 o'clock news, he would come to me with story ideas about some sports story. Well, I didn't have but one reporter a night to cover the night side, and so I would say, Stuart, I can't do a sports story. I've got to do a hard news story. But anyway, he would always pitch a sports story, and I knew where his heart was, and so did everybody else. And he has become, as you know now, one of the great sports personalities.
Mm-hmm.
He got married, by the way. Nancy and I went to his wedding. He married this wonderful girl, and we all went to his wedding, and he was married here in Raleigh. But he was really fun. He told me once how he was the star in either college or high school of the play West Side Story. And I said, well, you mean you could do all those songs? And he would break out with some of those songs that he did in West Side Story. He was really quite wonderful and a lot of fun.